Sup guys, it's time for an Ask Eric special edition. The top 3 reasons why your voice isn't as strong as you want it to be. Every single day I get swamped with the same kind of questions. Eric, how do I make my chest voice stronger? Eric, how do I make my head voice stronger? Why do I keep going hoarse? All 3 of these issues have 3 common root causes, and I'm going to touch on all of those right now. This is not to say that these are the only 3 possibilities, but in my experience, these 3 make up a large percentage of the reason why these people have these technical difficulties with their voice. So let's get to it. Reason number 1, insufficient warm-up and lack of daily vocal exercise. Your vocal folds are muscle tissue, and just like any other muscle, they can get stronger with proper use, they can get weaker with lack of use, and you can also damage them with improper use. In the same way that an Olympic athlete has to be in exceptionally good shape to run that race, or to execute that leap, or to land that dismount, we as singers have to be in exceptionally good vocal shape to belt out that high note, or execute that run, or to get that scream that we want without killing our voices. It begins with daily warm-ups. People really underestimate just how powerful a daily warm-up can be. Just 20 minutes a day of vocal exercise can make a world of difference in how you sing and how long your voice lasts forever. Again, singing a song is not a sufficient vocal warm-up. Your vocal warm-up should consist of exercises that help to stretch and thin the vocal cords and relax the throat to prepare your voice to sing. A warm-up should feel easy, and it should be very gentle on the voice. You're not pushing yourself to the limits. That's not the goal of a warm-up. If you need a basic idea of how a good warm-up should be done, just check out my warm-up videos. They're pretty popular on here. It's free. It just doesn't cost you anything, and it gives you a solid general warm-up that any vocalist can use. And of course, as you get more experience and as you learn more exercises and you learn what your voice needs, you can customize it to you and what you need at that time. The second reason why your voice is not as strong as you want it to be is because of poor chord closure. Your vocal cords have to come together in order to make sound, and they need to come together along their thin edges to make a clean, crisp sound with minimal effort. So if you want a powerful sound, if you want a strong sound, an intense sound, it's about how you close the cords. It's not about closing the throat. I'll give you an example of a recent client that I had. He was singing a bit of a popular R&B song, and this is how he sang it for me. I didn't really know back then, but right now I'm totally sure. It was very breathy, and he was gasping for breath every time. When you hear this ultra breathy tone, excessive breath is being released through the vocal cords. It makes it a lot harder for the vocal cords to do their job. You wear the vocal cords out a lot faster, and your voice is less distinct, and it's much harder to get that power. So you have to keep pushing to get it, and you have to heave for breath because you're constantly losing your breath extra fast. So what's the solution? Replace the words with a Bratty vowel. As in cat. So instead of, I didn't really know back then, speak in drop the jaw first, no particular pitch, just speak it, That's simple. It's not the most pleasant sound, you're not trying to sound great, you're just speaking in So, replace the melody with those kind of sounds, but in a staccato fashion. So, Do you sound crazy? Of course you do, but by now, you should be used to it. Then, after you go through it a few times with those staccato sounds, and remember, staccato just means short, sharp, and detached, versus legato, which would be connected. So instead of no, you want accent each one. So what we're going to do is quickly alternate from the vowel to the words. So it goes something like this. I really didn't know back then, but right now I'm totally sure. You hear the difference? So there's I didn't really know back then versus I didn't really know back then, but right now. Very big difference in the quality of the sound. It's much more impactful. It feels much better on my throat, and I can be heard that much more easily. This is a tip that you can use for any song, and no matter how high, no matter how low. As you go higher up and you start to cross into the next part of your voice, it might get a little squeaky. That's okay. The goal of that is not to sound good while you do that It's just so you can get the coordination, so you can feel that crisp, clean, solid sound without squeezing. Now another thing is that it's or but it's not It's not a choking kind of sound. It's ah. You're just speaking ah. So don't make it more difficult than it is. If you feel a squeeze on your throat, you are doing it wrong. If you feel hoarse, you are doing it wrong. If you feel your throat hurting, you are doing it wrong. So if it's Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, ah 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 ah, or if it's Mary Had a Little Lamb, ah 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 ah, doesn't matter what it is. So do your ah. Get your ah on. Whatever. Finally, the last one, the last reason, the big three, the big third. The last reason why your voice is not as strong as you want it to be is because of register coordination. You can't just pull your chest voice up and yell everything on all the high notes. You've got to let your voice start to cross up to the next register. You have a chest voice, this big strong voice at the bottom. You have a head voice at the top. And you have a mixed voice, which is just a series of notes that connects them. You want a strong connected voice. If you have a not necessarily damaging, but it really limits you stylistically. And what's more is that when you want to go for power, what you're probably going to do is pull up a bunch of excessive chest voice weight. So you're probably going to and start to really scream and push, and you'll see all the veins, or you'll feel like your throat is caving in. It's not pleasant for the listener or for the singer. It doesn't feel great. Now, one of my favorite quick tip suggestions for when you need to get that coordination to blend the voice in a hurry, when you don't really have time for a voice lesson or to really practice it, is to replace the lyrics with a lip roll. So what you would do is, let's say, should have prepared this better. Let's take a R&B song, and then we'll do a rock song, and then maybe like a musical theater song. So for an R&B song, you're more than wonderful. So let's do that. So if you were encountering, you're more than what? And you're screaming it, or if you were getting, you're more than wonderful, and you couldn't get that connection to get it stronger, then what you would do is, and if you could even practice the run in the lip roll. So just don't overly push it. You just want to keep it all steady and even, only enough force to get the lip roll going. You don't want, that's not going to do you any good. So the key to power is not through force, but through freedom. So as the sound becomes more free, it'll become more powerful. So again, we quickly alternate to kind of trick the voice into doing the right thing between the lip roll and then the words. You're more than wonderful. See? I hope that's the right key. I don't even know. It doesn't matter. You get the idea. It's about the coordination. The point is, it'll help you connect from chest voice into head voice. And it's pretty simple. As you're doing the lip roll, pay attention to where you feel your voice at in the lip roll. So if you feel it, if you feel a part resonating in your chest voice on the lip roll, then that's where it should be when you sing the note. And wherever it's at, if you feel it, that's where it should be. So don't just do the lip roll and then totally forsake it when you sing the words. Let the lip roll be your guide. The lip roll will show you where to place your voice as far as register coordination is concerned. Try it. It takes practice, but you'll get it. And I know some of you guys are like, you always do these R&B examples. What about us rock folk that like to sing different styles? So I got you this time. Let's see how this can be applied to System of the Down, Hypnotize. So a lot of people have in their minds that this kind of singing is inherently bad for the voice, but it doesn't have to be. And you can get a kind of a strained, pulled sound. So what I work with a lot of rock clients too, actually. So what will commonly happen, they'll come in and they disguise it, and they're just yelling, like, and they're just squeezing in all the veins, and they're trapped. But if you can still get that squeeze kind of sound as long as you let the voice cross. They disguise and hypnotizing. Let it go into head voice or a heady mix, and that head voice will allow you to take that pressure off. And all we're doing is adding a lot of that that kind of twang to it. Yeah, because if we pull back on it, it's really not that stressful on the voice. It sounds very intense, and it sounds like I'm just shredding my vocal cords, but I could pretty much do it all day. And so it's not that bad. Now the key is to learn how to take the pressure off, to get the intensity in the sound and take the pressure off the throat. So the first step, do it with the lip roll. So you know, so that's like the main part that transitions the so we do it on a lip roll first, and then we go back and do it with our real voice. But in the case of rock singing, I would suggest go back, and after you do it on a lip roll, do it with those staccato vowel sounds again. It'll help you find that edge. With rock singing, for screaming, don't be afraid to go a little extra heady, because what we're going to do is you can put a little more edge than normal, because head voice naturally is pressure friendly when it comes to the voice. If you have decent coordination, it's a lot easier to take the pressure off in a headier coordination. Just add a lot of edge, and you can really fool people. So you can get that yeah kind of scream, and it's really heady. Same thing for a lot of gospel singers survive like this. People always come to me and ask me about Fantasia, for example, the R&B singer, and she also does a lot of gospel type stuff, or a lot of gospel singers. I'm like, aren't they killing their voice? But that twang and that crossing over into head voice, really, that so it sounds like a scream and a pull, but as you can see, they always allow themselves to cross. Even though the sound becomes distorted, it's not the purest, most pretty sound, but it allows their voice to survive. And this is for any hardcore, traditional gospel kind of singer or any hardcore rock singer. The vocal coordinations are not very different at all. And so don't be afraid to let it go a little bit heady and add that edge to it. So again, a pure would be like a pure, let's say a pure ah. So a pure ah would be like a sounds very falsetto-like. Maybe if you get a little more edge. But if you go to that is it a pretty sound? Of course not. But when you're singing rock, you don't really want it to be pretty necessarily, depending on the kind of rock you're singing. So if we just exaggerate that and just focus on the buzziness of that and just focus on focusing it. Not on squeezing, but you see, it's all about edge and playing with that edge to the sound. That vowel sound helps you get to it. And yeah, that's the problem when I don't write out my plans in advance. I totally get off point. So yeah, I think I said what I wanted to say. And good, let's just move on. Okay, so I promised you guys a musical theater example as well. I'm pressed for time now officially, and I can't think. Okay, I got one. So another common issue is that I'll get people who have to sing softly but still have it be kind of solid. And so they don't want to flip into a totally weak, disconnected falsetto, but they still need to kind of have it sound light. And they don't want it to be a hard kind of mix. They don't want it to be piercing. They don't want it to be harsh. They want it to be very pretty and soft, but without losing its bottom to the sound. So the way to do that is by connecting. So it can still float and not be disconnected. So let's see, Miss Saigon, Sun and Moon. So for a male singer, a lot of times I'll get, you are here like a mystery, I'm from a place that's so different from all, and they'll get really strong again out of nowhere. But if you connect it, you could feel where that connection is. You are here like a mystery, I'm from a place that's so different from all that you are. How in the light of one night did we come so far? You know, whatever, I think I butchered the lyrics, I don't know. Doesn't matter. The point is, you can still keep it very light as long as you connect it ever so gently. And the lip roll helps you to do that. So again, it's like a mystery versus like a mystery. So it helps you to still keep like a mystery. It's still a connection there. It's very light, but it's still a connection. So a quick recap. Every day, todos los días, you need to warm up for at least 20 minutes and do various vocal exercises, the kind that you can find in my home study program. Shameless plug. Yeah, 20 minutes of daily vocal exercise. Also, use better chord closure and get that crisp sound. You don't have to push for it, just find the focus, and that will help you do that. And lastly, allow your voice to cross into that next place. Don't try to pull up all the way from chest. Don't be afraid of your head voice and of your mixed voice. And don't be afraid of a heady mix. It's kind of a cheap, easy way to do it. And it takes time and practice. By no means is this a fix-all for all of your vocal problems. But these are powerful tools that can help you for the length of your singing careers. And so these are pieces to the puzzle that you can begin putting together to create the picture that is your whole voice. Yes, it's a day of metaphors. Alright, so I'm getting less cool as I speak, and I am going to leave now with the final words to say, check out the home study program at aapproach.com, and stay tuned because very soon I will have a new great video with some footage from my most recent workshop, and it'll be the Arsenal Approach 3.0. So be ready to get that in December, and until next time, peace.